Hey folks, back again. Got another design that I'm working on. So I'm going to walk you through what I have here, what I have set up, and go through the steps of how to put this handbag, pocketbook, purse together. Okay, so let's get started with the stuff you need. I have a cutting mat and a yardstick. Obviously you need the sewing machine. And here I have an extra bobbin, plus I already have one in the machine because the last one I made took 2 bobbins, matching thread. Here I have all of my fabric already pre-cut. I'll go over the dimensions here in just a moment. Here I have a white pencil for my dark fabrics. Yes, I use a carpenter's pencil to mark my light fabrics. Rotary cutter just makes things easier. Eyelets, also known as grommets. The tool to set them with. A hammer to use the tool to set them with. I have a pre-made handle. Any kind of regular scissors for trimming your threads. And this is the pattern that I designed and came up with. So I have everything set out on the table here as I do on the paper here. So I'll show you it on the paper and then I'll show you on the fabric. Here are the front and back pieces. Each part will have 3 separate pieces. So a front will have 3 pieces, the back will have 3, the sides will have 3 pieces. Each pocket will have 2 pieces, and the bottom will have 3. The dimensions are 14 inches tall for the front and back, and that covers this entire area here. The bottom, which I forgot to write the number, is 6 inches tall and 16 inches wide, as well as this is 16 inches wide. This side piece right here is the 14 inches tall and it's 6 inches wide. The pockets that are the purplish color here, they're going to be 8 inches tall and 16 inches wide. Well, for the front and back they will be. For the side pockets that I'm putting on, they will be 6 inches wide and 14 inches tall. I will take and scan this in, and I'll probably put I will put a screenshot of it up right now. Okay, so you got your pattern. Now I'll actually walk through and show you the pieces that I have. The brown part goes all the way down and consists, each side or front and back consists of a cotton print, a canvas, kind of like a support piece for the middle, and a polyester liner. Each pocket, excuse me, each pocket will have a cotton print and polyester liner. Let me get that folded back. The bottom piece will have the cotton print, the canvas support in the middle, and the polyester liner, as well as the side pieces, your cotton print, canvas, polyester liner, and the pocket, cotton print, and polyester liner. I don't use the canvas for the pockets. That would just make it extra bulky where it doesn't really need to be. And I'll place the handle here. And hopefully by the time we're done, that'll be roughly what it looks like, at least from the front view. So I'm going to set the camera down, and I'll go through step by step and show you the different parts of putting this all together. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken and separated all my pieces that need to be sewn together. I have my side pockets, my sides, my front pockets, or front and back pockets, my front and back, and my bottom piece. The only piece that does not go right sides together is the bottom, and that's just because of the way that I put it together. Each of these parts of the actual pocketbook itself, with the exception of the purple, is just a cotton print and the canvas. I've separated all the liners over here to the side, just because I'm going to try to put this together a little bit differently than I did the last time. If you want to see what I did last time, all you have to do is look at my channel and you'll see the previous video. So what I'm going to do, I have all these separated. I'm going to sew the top pieces of each one together and leave the side pieces open, because when I sew it all together, the side pieces will automatically be locked together. There's no sense to double sew them all together. It'll hold together pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these placed together, show you what I've done, and then I'll come back to it. Okay, so I have all my pieces that need to be attached together already together. So I'm going to go over what you should have right now if you're following along. Here are my side pocket, or my front and back pockets. Should have two of these. You got the black liner, and they're only sewed on this one long side here. So you got two of those. You should have a front and a back piece. And once again, they're only sewed across the top here. And they were sewed right sides together. And then you just fold them over, iron it down, and make a crease so it'll stay. If you're using a polyester liner, be sure not to have your iron set too high or you will melt your fabric. The side pockets, they're just sewed across the short side. You have two of those. And then the actual side pieces, just like the front and the rest of them. And they're only sewed on this short side here. The only exception is you have one bottom piece, and I don't know if you can see or not, but the black thread, and I just sewed it all the way around to make it one solid piece. And you can iron it flat if you want. So next I have the assembly, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble the inside liner first, and then I'll assemble the pocketbook, and then bring both pieces together, hopefully. I'm still trying to do this as I'm going along, so it's kind of a learning process at the same time. So I'm going to get the liner together, and then I'll probably show part of the process, or the important part of the process of putting the outside together, and I'll do the entire process of actually joining the inside and the outside together, so you can see how that works and see what the finished product looks like. Alrighty, so here I have the finished liner. Got all four sides and the bottom piece on. I intentionally didn't show this portion because black material, black thread, it was hard enough for me to see as I was sewing it, so it's going to be even harder for you to tell what I'm doing. just because of how dark it is. But I will show you the process because it is identical to actually putting the pocketbook itself together. So I'll walk through that, and then I'll show you how to actually put the liner and attach it to the pocketbook. So we'll set the liner to the side for now, and then we'll get started with actually assembling the pocketbook. The last thing that's going to go on is the bottom piece, so I'm going to set that over to the side. Okay, I'm going to get one of the big pieces, either the front or the back, and I'm going to get one of the pocket pieces and just line it up on the side and at the bottom where it's going to be going. And try to make sure all of your edges are lined up as nice and neat as possible. Take your time with this, or you'll actually end up with holes along your side or in your bottom or in your corner because everything's not getting attached properly. So once I have that, I have the big piece with the pocket on it, the way it's going to be facing. Make sure your tops are on the same side. You don't want the part you sew together in your pocket here, and then the part that you sew for your pocketbook up here, or vice versa. So make sure both of your sides are matched. Then I'm going to take a side piece and the matching pocket, and I'm going to put that right sides together with what I already have down. This is the reason I didn't put the canvas in with the pockets, because once you get to this section right here where the pockets are and you're sewing, that's going to get extremely thick. And some sewing machines, if you have a smaller sewing machine, it won't handle it as well or at all. And then finally, the side piece. Once again, make sure all your top portions, the parts that you've already sewed together, are all on the same side. And then we'll top it off with the side piece here. I know there's probably a lot of people looking at their screen screaming, "Why aren't you pinning that together?" I have large hands that don't really work that well with bends, so I take advantage of large hands and use them to hold my material where I need it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, and just remember when you're doing this, hold everything together or pin it down, which is probably the best way. And just take your time with it. Now when I get to the bottom portion here, I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to back stitch and then stitch back and leave that 1/2 inch open at the corner. And the reason I do that is when I go to attach the bottom, I actually have somewhere to attach it to. So once again, make sure everything's lined up. And transfer over to your needle. And just go real slow. Take your time with it. Back stitch. and I'm using about a 3/8 to a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now I'm getting to the thick part. You can probably hear the machine. Once I got into that pretty good, I'm going to grab it here at the bottom so I can maneuver it a little bit better. And like I was saying, I use a really tight stitch for this, and I have my tension set roughly between 3 and 4. Coming up on my 1/2 inch at the bottom. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to back stitch there. I'm going to go back a little ways so make sure I get a good solid hold there. Alright. Okay, and I'm just going to take a quick peek here, make sure I got everything. Looks pretty good. So now I'm going to assemble the other side. So I'll start with the small pocket. Right sides together. And just make sure we get everything nice and square and lined up. And then my side piece. Now I'm going to be doing this one in the opposite direction, so I'll be starting at the bottom, so I'm going to leave that 1/2 inch gap to start with, which means I'm going to be starting in the thicker portion. So I'll just slide that into the machine. And I'm going to take it all the way to the, a little bit past, probably a 1/2 inch past the back of my foot. So I can sew a little bit and then back stitch. And when you back stitch, try to take it all the way back to that 1/2 inch. And then just take your time, do it nice and slow. One last check, make sure everything's together. Out of the thick part. Now what I was telling you about the lining, I told you the process was exactly the same. You'll take your large piece, and you won't have the pockets on there, but you'll sew a side piece to it, and then you can sew your other large piece or sew your other side piece on, and you're going to sew all 4 sides together on the edges, close it off, make a square, and then we leave that portion open at the bottom. You go along on each side, which you'll see here in just a moment, and then you'll sew the bottom piece on. But I'll show you that when I get the other side on. Close to the top, all the way to the edge, and back stitch it. double check, make sure all my pockets. Okay, everything's looking good so far. Alright, so you take the last piece, make sure you open your side up. Get your edges together. Now make sure this little pocket, because it's open, make sure you get it all the way to the edge. A few stitches and then back stitch and lock it back on. The pocket should be coming up. Here it machined it down just a little bit when it gets to the pocket. Got that extra fabric that you're going through. Make sure you leave the 1/2 inch. Okay, and then we have one last side, and then we'll get the bottom together. And what I just did was I forgot to sew the pocket on. It's alright, we'll just have a 3-sided pocket. I can't believe I did that. Oh, well. That's a good thing about designing your own stuff. You can do it however you want. Okay, so take it out all the way out to the edge. Stitch and lock it down. Just want to make sure I got pocket all the way there. Inch, back stitch it, and there we go. we have all four sides inside out. Now we have to sew the bottom portion on. So the way I do that is I usually start on the long side just because it's easier to do. And I'll just fold back the little part right there where I had the 1/2 inch open. And you just have to maneuver it, whatever works comfortable for you. And you just match your corners together. So a couple stitches to kind of hold everything in place for a second. Back stitch, lock it down. And then I just realign everything, just make sure. I don't want anything moving once I get started. And I'm basically just following the same stitch that I used to attach the canvas to the cotton print. If you can manage to get it a little bit closer to the edge without missing any of your material, the better off you are. So if you can follow that line, you should be pretty good. Keep it from being too bulky. And once I get that one side attached, all I do is just follow it all the way around and just make sure I keep everything straight. So now I'm doing the short side. Down, back stitch to the edge, and just make sure that you're actually getting the bottom of that pocket area, or when you go to put something in there, it'll just kind of fall right through. All the way to the corner, back stitch it, another long side. And don't forget, you have to make sure that pocket's all the way down to the bottom. lined up, and have at it. All the way to the corner, back stitched it. And now we just have one side left, and it should match up just right. And just double check, make sure your pockets, always double check for your pockets if you're ever putting them on there, or not forgetting them. Back stitch in there, locked it down. So now we have an inside out pocketbook, kind of sort of. So I'm just going to fold it out and kind of see what we're looking at here. It's a good chance to actually see what your finished product will look like. Make sure you get all those corners poked out there. Make sure everything's nice and firm together so it'll hold. If you have one of those little sticks where you can poke the corners out, that's even better. If you don't, you can always get tongue depressors and put an edge on them that's not too sharp. So this is basically what we're looking at. So we have our pocket here. One here, the other side, everything's sealed off. I don't see any holes anywhere. Looks like everything got put together good. Alright, after that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little break. And when I come back, we're going to see how to assemble the liner to the pocketbook itself. Alright, we're back again. And what we're getting ready to do now is we're going to attach the liner to the purse itself. Oh, excuse me. I had to get a little drink there. Okay, so what I did is I left the pocketbook right side out. I have the liner, which is inside out. Right side is on the inside. And I completely covered the pocketbook with it, and I've matched up all of my seams. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sew all the way around the edge. And see. Yeah. So you want your right sides together. Inside, outside. And we're going to sew a seam all the way around the edge. Here we go. And we'll start with the small side first. Actually, no, I'm going to get the long side. Go ahead and get it out of the way. It's a good time if you have the little cover over your sewing machine to remove it. So you can actually have some space to work. And mine slides out. Yeah, some of them they have a little thing where you can get all the way around there. And it's pretty important to make sure you keep all of your seams together. Go ahead and get my needle in there and use it to hold down. So I got that seam together. Nice. Get it going here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock it down at every corner, just because. And I'm trying to keep a real close seam on this. Seam there. And lock it down. And put my needle in the down position. And readjust. Make sure my other seam lines up. And just continue all around. Back stitch and lock it. Readjust everything. Make sure I'm lining up everything. I'm going to do now is stop on this last corner. Pull my needle out, lift the foot, and remove it. And I'm going to try to turn the entire thing out, inside out, through this one last corner that was left open. I'm just reaching down in there and pulling everything out. If you've ever sewn a pillowcase together, this is very similar to what you would do. Except a lot easier with the pillowcase, that is. Alright, what we now have is an inside out pocketbook. So take all the liner and push it into it. And now this last corner that you didn't sew, you're going to tuck just a little bit of it under. Match it up. Okay. So, actually, we'll stand up and show you this. So the whole reason for doing that, get out of the light here, was so that your lining shows up properly on the inside. So all your seams that you sew together are in the middle, not showing. And that when you're done, you have a nice, clean, crisp edge. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start back over here at another corner, and I'm going to sew all the way down so this will hold. And then as I go around, I'll get back to this corner that was left open, and I'll just kind of tuck the edges together and sew right over that, and that'll close that. So I'm going to go ahead and start on that right now. You're sewing right at the edge. Now the more time you take with this, the better and more professional your project will turn out. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to make sure I reach inside and push all that lining to the bottom as best I can. adjusting as you go around. Slowly work your way around. My hand keeps going to sleep. And you'll see as you get further along, it gets a little bit easier to do. Alright, we're over halfway there. Just keep making sure you get that line all the way pushed in there. Okay, so now I'm getting to that corner, or the side that wasn't finished. So I have a flat piece like this, and the flat piece on the inside like this. What I'm going to do is the pocketbook side, I'm going to tuck this side under, and lining, I'm going to tuck that side under, and then I'm going to sew right across the top of both of them, and it should match up fairly decent. It should look like the rest of the lining. All tucked together, and I'm just going to try to keep it there. It's the end. If you can tell a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything. Right back to where I started at, and then I'm just going to back stitch it again. I got really close to the edge, so I got to make sure I actually hit the material. Show you how that turned out. So when you get done, your inside finished seam will be like that. And all that stitch right here does, when you get it real close to the edge, all it's going to do is just hold those two folds together and make it look real nice and professional. So that's almost the finished product. thing left to do is attach the handle, which I'll measure from both ends of the long side. I'll measure equal distances from each edge, and I'll put holes and attach the grommets, and then I'll attach the handle on there. Okay, so I'm going to get that done. If you don't know how to attach grommets or eyelets, as some people call them, all you gotta do is a quick look on YouTube. You can find them about anywhere. They're real simple. You just put a hole big enough for the grommet to go in. Matter of fact, you can look at my last video, and you just put the grommet together, put the tool on it, hit it with a hammer a few times, and it's set. And then you just attach your handle to that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you the finished product. Okay, I'm back. So what I've done is I went ahead and put all my grommets in, and as you can see, I've already attached the handles. And this is what the finished product looks like. And this idea was based off of the one I did last time, which is this big old monster right here, which seemed a little large, so we scaled it down and changed the way the lining is on the inside. This one has a real nice clean look on the inside, whereas this one, I did the lining, but you can still see the seams right here. But if you would like to learn this one and do the lining like this one, where it's real nice and clean, just look at my previous video. I'll go through this one step by step. And once again, this is the finished product. So if you make one, send a video response or leave a message. Post a picture if you can. Alright, that's how you do it. Let me know what you think down below. Thumbs up or thumbs down, don't matter. And subscribe if you like to see more stuff that I do around the house. Not just sewing, I do all sorts of stuff around the house. Also post video with my kids playing around. So we just try to keep everything real, do it like we're supposed to. So let me know what you think. See you later. Bye.